is, obviously, if we all try and talk, it's going to cause a problem. So usually people decide, okay, I'll solve that. I just won't talk. But if you happen to have a little fur baby in the background or a little human running around, sometimes it happens accidentally. So the best thing to do is to mute your microphone so that doesn't cause any unnecessary sounds. Having said all that, welcome again to the house party. Sorry, I just found this new toy. I've got to play with it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a sing and a bit of a dance, okay? We're going to start the world off. I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Leroy Brown. I think this will work. So make sure you dance because it's recording. You can get up and dance as well, you know. Well, the south side of Chicago is the baddest part of town. So if you go down there, better just beware of a man named Leroy Brown. But now Leroy, he's more than trouble. Yeah, he stands about 6'4", and all the downtown girls call him treetop lover, but the men just call him sir. But he's bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole downtown, badder than old King Kong, meaner than the junkyard dog. Now Leroy, he a gambler, yeah, he likes his fancy clothes. He likes to wave his diamond rings in front of everybody's nose. He's got a constant Continental, got an Eldorado too. He's got a 48 gun in his pocket for fun. He's got a switchblade in his shoes. And it's a bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole downtown. Badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. And everybody get up and dance now. But now it's Friday, about a week ago, Leroy was shooting dice, and at the end of the bar stood a girl named Sherilyn, and whoa, that girl looked nice. Well, he cast his eyes upon her, but then trouble soon began, because Leroy Brown learned a lesson about a mess with the wife of a jealous man. Cause he's bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole downtown, badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Yeah, he's bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole downtown, badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. Yeah, he was badder than old King Kong, and he was meaner than a junkyard dog. Woo! Let me just stop that.
Great job.
Back over here. Turn this back on here. How cool was that?
Very cool. Very cool.
Very good.
Thank you, Colin.
Did you enjoy that? That was a nice dance. All right. Now, did you know that volunteering is a type of donation? Did you know that? Well, when you volunteer to help, you're actually donating the most valuable currency you can possibly donate, and that's your time. So we're going to do a little poll at this stage. I think Lizzie's got the ability to do this. And the question we're going to ask is, have you ever volunteered? All right. There it is. There's the poll. So it's very difficult to answer. You've either got to tick yes or no. Think carefully. It doesn't have to be necessarily Epilepsy Tas. It can be any volunteering work that you've done. So we'll tick that, submit it. And then having done that, I'm going to actually hand you over to Claire. Claire is part of our, well, as she says in her own words, part of the communications team. She's part of the epilepsy family. So I'm going to hand you over to Claire. Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Burnett.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin. Yes, so I'm going to give you a definition of volunteering. This is the official national volunteer in Australia for definition for volunteering, and that is that volunteering is time willingly given for the common good without financial gain. And here at Epilepsy Tasmania, we have a lot of volunteers who do just that for us. And we wouldn't be around and we wouldn't be able to give our services and support in the same way as we do if we didn't have all of our volunteers. And that's what this house party is about. as a way of acknowledging volunteers and saying thank you and explaining a little bit more about it. So let's share the poll results. Let's see. 100%. So, have you volunteered? 100% of us have volunteered over our lifetime doing something for somebody or some organisation. And thank you, Liz. So if we were to look at the national stats for volunteering, the ABS census in 2014, I think it was, revealed that about 31% actually volunteer their time. And probably Liz's dog there too. So that's nearly a third of Australians who are volunteering, which is a great thing. Here at Epilepsy Tasmania, our volunteer coordinator who looks after all of our volunteers is Sherilyn. And I'm going to have a little chat to Sherilyn now. I've got some questions to ask to find out a little bit more. Sherilyn, you've been volunteering for over 20 years, or working as a volunteer coordinator as well as volunteering. Tell us, what type of people volunteer their time?
Yes, Claire, look, volunteers are not limited to any type of person really. People of all ages, race, culture, gender and abilities come with many attributes and volunteer for many reasons. There are a vast range of activities that cover many sectors right across our country and of course all over the world. In the 2012 State of Volunteering report that Tasmania put out, Volunteering Tasmania put out, it stated that the most common type of organisations that people volunteer for is related to sport and physical recreation, particularly males and people aged in the 35 to 44 and 45 to 54 age group.
And so what motivates them to give up their free time?
People volunteer not just for personal inspiration, but knowing it's a massive contribution to the economy and to the community and well-being. This is motivational in itself, really. Volunteers want their efforts to make a positive difference by giving to the community. Many have a personal belief to the cause and knowing they can help others. It's also an opportunity to improve a feeling of isolation and is beneficial to health and well-being. It gives a sense of purpose and often a reason to get out of bed for many. Many volunteers like to use their own skills, but many also want to learn new skills and gain new experiences which can help toward a career path. Volunteering helps to build self-confidence and provides opportunities to meet new people and make new friends. Everyone is different. Everyone has different motivations and objectives.
Yeah, so you mentioned that sometimes people have a personal connection to the cause and that's why they volunteer, and we certainly see that here at Epilepsy Tasmania. But what does an organisation like Epilepsy Tasmania get out of having volunteers?
Yes, well, volunteers help us to meet our needs, or any community organisations really, by providing us with the extra manpower and allows us to work within our budget without putting a strain on it. Just as importantly, they provide vital support to staff. Through this current situation with COVID-19, with the isolation, we've had the help of volunteers to help our staff phone and check in with people's health and well-being. Giving your time freely, even for half an hour or an hour, is such a huge support to us. Volunteers who engage with Epilepsy Tasmania are treated very similar to staff. Some of the things they're provided with include training and support, being recognised for what they do, reimbursement for pre-approved out-of-pocket expenses, are covered through volunteer insurance. Some of the roles that volunteers have with Epilepsy Tasmania include our telephone-based peer support, fundraising and awareness events, selling our merchandise and admin. The roles we currently have available are maintaining our social media platforms and Epilepsy Connect telephone-based peer support roles. And, you know, I'd like to take this opportunity just to say if anyone was interested in finding out more, I'd provide you with how you can inquire about this shortly.
Yeah, Okay, we'll cover that at the end, I think, just
Yeah.
as a reminder. 20 years is a long time to be working with volunteers, Sherilyn. Tell us some of the changes you've seen to volunteering over that time.
Yes, well, look, some of the trends we're seeing is we are an ageing population, and that's predicted to grow over the coming decades. As people age and head into retirement, they're becoming more and more engaged in volunteering activities. It's a great opportunity and an economic potential for seniors to share their skills and abilities they've acquired over their working years, although some people prefer to volunteer in a completely different environment to what they've worked in the past. Another change we're seeing is that it's becoming popular for younger people to volunteer. This group of volunteers gain many new skills and experiences that benefit them with the possibility of opening up a career path. Volunteering also gives high school leavers and those who are unemployed a better opportunity to successfully gain paid employment. It's proven that volunteering at a younger age makes a difference to volunteering as a person heads into adulthood. We often see a family cycle of volunteering, where a grandparent volunteered sometime in their life and was carried through by their adult child, and who now have their own children and grandchildren volunteering. This is a really common thing that happens. Corporate volunteering is also becoming popular, whereby employers are allowing their employees to provide community service by volunteering for a day or two a year in their own work time. We're also seeing people filling volunteer type roles who have government obligations, but who are not necessarily a volunteer. These include people who have community service orders, students who need to do community services as part of their studies. Often this type of group of people return into a volunteering role, which is wonderful to see.
Mm. Do you have any funny stories or highlights over your volunteer career?
Oh, look, there's many. As you say, I became involved in volunteering over 20 years ago. I volunteered myself in the late 90s, and by being a volunteer myself, it really did open up my eyes and show me just how vital volunteers are to our community and to the Australian economy. Even after all this time, I'm still always totally in awe of volunteers who give their support and time freely, and the benefits volunteers give to our communities and organisations. There are many highlights, but two that I recall on two separate occasions. Some time ago, I met two young ladies who both wanted to volunteer. I met them separately, and they were both timid and frightened and had no work experience and hardly said a word at all. But with the training and support and a lot of nurturing, they gradually became confident young adults who ended up gaining paid employment, which is wonderful to see. Just a couple of big success stories there. I've also seen volunteers who started in their 70s and who continued to volunteer in their 80s. And, I can think of people now those same people who still volunteer in their 90s.
Wow. So it's obviously some big highlights. What about some challenges?
Yeah, look, I guess, there's challenges in any role that someone has. It's very understandable, but people are often time poor and don't have the capacity to engage in volunteering even though they want to. Commitment can also be a challenge. However, this can often be overcome by the support and supervision they're provided with by the organisation. Another challenge is to have an overwhelming number of people wanting to volunteer but limited volunteer roles available. Volunteers want to give their time, and it's nothing worse than having help on hand with nothing to do. One of the important things I've learned is to have volunteers feel they're in a worthwhile role, which we could understand.
Yeah. And so before I hand back to Colin for a quiz, just quickly, Sherilyn, if someone does want to volunteer for Epilepsy Tasmania, how do they go about doing it?
Yeah, Claire, look, anyone interested in volunteering will be taken seriously, and I'd love to hear from them. They can leave their best method of contact, either their phone or email address on either our website, or send a private message through our Facebook page, or you can phone our office on 1300 852 853, and then I can contact you within a few days. Love to hear from you.
Thanks, Sherilyn. Heading back to you, Colin.
Thank you very much. That was amazing, Sherilyn. That's a fantastic wealth of information. 20 years, that's a long time. Yeah. Let's have another. I must say, I first met Sherilyn when we were working together at the Hobart City Mission, and her dedication is amazing. So it's fantastic to have her in the team. Now,
I must just say too, one of the first roles that I did have in volunteering was volunteering for Colin there.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was. Were we dancing at the time, or were we something?
No. I was getting used to how to learn a computer and how to send emails.
Oh, yes. Right, we're going to have a quiz, okay? Yeah, this is a bit of fun. Hang on, we're going to have a quiz. I better put my quiz hat on. All right, I'm now a quiz master. This is a quiz. It's 20 questions. All right, so you need a bit of paper and a pen. Has everyone got a bit of paper and a pen? The first 10 questions are just general knowledge. Second 10 are going to be Australiana. And then I have one bonus question at the end, which I'm absolutely sure you won't know the exact answer to. So that's going to actually separate it, just in case somebody gets 20 out of 20. Imagine that. It's happened before. So the first question. Now, obviously, during this time, everybody turns to drink, but not everybody drinks. So the question is, what is the most popular non-alcoholic drink in the world? The most popular non-alcoholic drink in the world. Question 2. Let me know if I go too fast. What was for those people who do drink, who like a bit of bubbly, what was the name of the Benedictine monk who invented champagne? The Benedictine monk who invented champagne, what was his name? Question 3. For those people Googling with their left hand out of screen, stop it. Question 3. Okay. Name the world's biggest island. It's for all you geography buffs. The world's biggest island. And on the other scale, what's the name of the smallest island? Now, this is the smallest inhabited island. Somebody actually lives on this place. The smallest island in the world. Yeah? Moving on. Academy Awards are coming up. We may or may not see them. But if we do, here's an Academy Award question. Which actress has won the most Academy Awards? And from the male perspective, which famous male movie actor, actually this is a two-part question, which famous male movie actor appeared in over 170 films during his career? What was his acting name? What was his real name? Question 7. Now this is a comment on my beard. A lot of people go into an exercise and they refuse to shave until the exercise is over, which is why you'll see a lot of blokes during all these Zoom meetings who've got beards because they're not shaving until they come out of isolation. Well, this guy used to play tennis, Bjorn Borg, and every time he went into a major championship, he didn't shave until the end of the championship, which is why his first rounds he was clean shaven and he had a beard by the time he got to the final. He won Wimbledon on how many occasions? So that's the question. How many times did Bjorn Borg win the male singles Wimbledon championship? Still on sport, having just watched an amazing series on Netflix called The Final Dance, or The Last Dance, actually, I think it was called. How many times when Michael Jordan was playing with the Chicago Bulls, how many NBA championships did he win? When Michael Jordan was playing with the Chicago Bulls, how many NBA championships did he win? Okay, moving on to entertainment and arts. Question 9. What does the term piano mean in music? If you're playing the piano, what does the term piano, or any musical instrument, what does the term piano mean? Question 10. I can see you're all having a ball. The seriousness on the face is amazing. Question 10. Painting with tempera. Painting with tempera. What would you use to bind the colour pigments? What would you use to bind the colour pigments when painting with tempera?
Just saying, don't pick me for your quiz night.
Why? Not good?
I'm off the team too, I reckon. Honourable guesses.
I'm only good because I wrote the questions. I'm hopeless at these things too, don't worry. Anyway, round 10, we're halfway through. Okay, Australiana. You'll know these ones. Question 11. Before being named Melbourne, what was the city first known as? What was the city of Melbourne first known as before it was named Melbourne? Question 12. If you visited every beach in Australia, but only one per day, how long would it take? If you went to one beach, every beach in Australia, one a day, how long would it take? You don't need to, include things like getting in the car and driving to the shop or anything like that. Just, yeah. Question 13. What animal does Australia export to Saudi Arabia? That was a guess, Liz, wasn't it? Because you looked up to your left. Okay. Of the 25, this is question 14. Of the 25 deadliest snakes in the world, how many are found in Australia? Question 15. What Australian Prime Minister holds the world record for sculling a beer? Question 16. Why were the emu and the kangaroo chosen for the Australian coat of arms? Question 17. Who is the longest serving presenter on Play School? It's not Big Ted, right? Not Big Ted or Little Ted. We're nearly there, folks. Question 18. Vegemite was invented to use up leftover yeast from brewing beer by Dr. Cyril P. Callister. In what year did that occur? What year did Dr. Cyril P. Callister, my personal hero, invent Vegemite? Question 19. You should know this because I told you this a few weeks ago. If Port Phillip Bay in Victoria is the largest natural harbour in Australia, what is the second largest? Port Phillip Bay is the largest in Australia, natural harbour. What is the second largest?
You just want to know if we listen to you, Colin.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Question 20. Who is the voice of Blinky Bill, Australia's most famous koala? I'll give you a hint. They were Tasmanian. Now, At this stage, I should have said at the beginning of the quiz, there are only 2 rules for this quiz. First rule is my answer is the correct answer. Rule 2, if you think you have a different answer which is correct, refer rule 1. All right? My answer is the correct answer. Now, having said that, some of you may get 20 out of 20. So just to actually split it up, to have a definitive winner, this is the bonus question. To the nearest kilometre, how far is it in kilometres as the crow flies from Hobart to Darwin? No Google Maps. We all done? Put your hand up if you've all finished. Yep. Cool. All right, so we'll go through the answers. You check your own answers and we'll have a winner at the end. And that winner gets to choose any item from our merchandise store, which is amazing. Okay. Question 1, the most popular non-alcoholic drink in the world is coffee.
Ooh.
The name of the
I
Benedict...
disagree.
I disagree too.
It's tea.
It's water.
Popular or consumed?
The most popular non-alcoholic drink in the world is coffee.
I just said water.
The name of the Benedictine monk who invented champagne was Dom Perignon. The world's biggest island is Greenland. The world's smallest inhabited island, which is now called Just Room Enough, was originally named Hub Island. It's in the St. Lawrence River, which flows out of Lake Ontario. It's the size of a tennis court,
Wow.
fully covered by a large house. Question 5, the actress that won the most Academy Awards was Katharine Hepburn. Question 6, the actor who appeared in over 170 films was John Wayne. Part 1, his real name was Marion Morrison. Question 7, Bjorn Borg won Wimbledon 5 times.
Yeah, I've got one.
Michael Jordan played with the Chicago Bulls and won 6 NBA championships. The term piano in music means softly.
Oh, I said quiet. Quietly.
Yeah, I'll play quiet.
I got one.
And painting with tempera, you bind your colour pigments with egg yolk.
Yes. Is egg okay?
Yes.
Egg. Yes.
I had a toothpick.
Well, you might use the toothpick to stir it together, I suppose, but no, not quite.
Does egg white count?
Well, it says the answer was egg yolk. Well, I guess
Okay.
I'll pay that.
It's close.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Okay, Australiana questions. Before being called Melbourne, the city was first known as Batmania. Batmania, because it was discovered by John Batman. Interestingly, John Batman, who came from Tasmania, right, wanted to call Tasmania Batmania to start with. So we could have been all living in Batmania. Imagine that. If you visited every beach in Australia one a day, it would take you 29 years to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there are 10,685 beaches in Australia.
Is anyone close?
I had 10 years.
I'm sorry, the answer is 29.
I had 25.
No, the answer is 29.
29.
The animal that Australia exports to Saudi Arabia is a camel.
So got that.
We export to them.
We export
Camels,
camels to Saudi Arabia, yep.
Wow.
Of the 25 deadliest snakes in the world, Australia has 21 of them.
Got that too. See, I watch National Geographic a lot.
Prime Minister who holds the world record for sculling a beer was Bob Hawke.
I'm just
We all got that one.
Yeah. The emu and the kangaroo were chosen for the Australian coat of arms because they are native Australian animals that can't walk backwards.
I didn't put that.
I put that they
I
both
just
have
read-
2 legs. Stand on 2 legs.
No.
I had
native to
indigenous
Australia.
animals.
No, the answer is because they can't walk backwards.
Oh, okay.
Right. It was deemed from Federation, 1st of January, that from now on we're going forwards. So question 17, the longest serving presenter on Play School was Benita.
Benita.
Got that.
Vegemite was
Fine.
invented by Dr. Callister in 1922.
Oh, we got
Port Phillip Bay, Victoria is the largest natural harbour. The second largest is Macquarie Harbour in Tasmania. And the voice of Blinky Bill was Robin Moore, Tasmanian. So, at the end of 20 questions, how'd we go? Who had 10? Who had 9? 8? 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6? See, Claire had 6.
1.
Well,
No, I had 2.
I had 2.
Two.
I think Cheryl's the winner.
I had 4. I had 5.
But Ian, 5?
No, I had 5.
Oh, we got 2 with 5.
Done.
2 with 5. Okay, so to decide the
No, no,
winner.
no.
I know, 1 with 5.
Oh, I thought Beck said she had 5.
No, I only had 2.
Oh, but Cheryl had 5.
Yep.
Good work, Cheryl.
Good work, Shell.
Well done.
Well done, Cheryl.
5 out of 21. That's not good work.
I'm telling you,
Not even 1.
it's a matter of interest. How far is it in kilometres from as the crow flies from Hobart to Darwin?
3,000.
Any adventures of 3,000?
3,500.
I got 3,800.
I put 2,000.
You're probably,
3,200.
you're probably closest, Cheryl. 3,736.318.
Oh, well done.
Done.
There you
Did
go.
Cheryl get that too?
No, but she was the closest with 3.8. So I think
Yeah. She's
Cheryl.
right.
So that makes Cheryl the winner of the first quiz. For Epilepsy.
And let's just avoid quiz nights.
The children's quiz next time, please.
No,
If they have one, how many can you not get right?
All right, quiz hat off. Back into. Oh, now I've got a mark across my forehead. Look at that. That's fantastic. Frankenstein. All right. Well, that's fun. That was a bit of fun. What we're going to do now, just to wrap up the house party, is we're going to have some words of wisdom from our esteemed leader, who I also used to work with a long time ago at the City Mission. None other than Wendy Groot.
There you go. So I just wanted to say from behalf of all of the Epilepsy Tasmanian community that volunteers are greatly valued and appreciated in all the activities that we do, and because volunteering's not about raising money, it's about getting the profile out there and letting people know who we are and what we do. Raising money is good as well, but predominantly it's about talking about what epilepsy is and bringing it out into the sunlight so more people can understand and support people in the Tasmanian community who live with or support people with epilepsy. So National Volunteers Week's really important for us. Having Cheryl on staff's been really important for us to really sharpen who we are as an organisation, really appreciating our volunteers and looking after them well. So thank you to everybody who has volunteered, and anybody who would like to volunteer, we will welcome you to the Epilepsy Tasmanian community. So thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. All right, we're going to finish this party up with another dance. Pop you back over here into the dance studio. Is that right down the right way? It's that way, isn't it? Got to get away from that light. This is the theme. So this is another quiz question for you. What movie is this the theme song from? Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me. My lover stands on golden sand and watches the ships that go sailing. somewhere beyond the shell. She's there waiting for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the stars, it's near beyond the moon. But I know beyond the doubt, my Lord will see you there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, we'll kiss just like before. And happy we will be beyond the sea. And never again I'll go sailing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank everybody for coming along to the Epilepsy Tasmania House Party. We've had an absolute ball. Put your hands together for Emma, for Liz, for Sharon, for Beck, for Cheryl, for Claire, and for Wendy. We might do this every week. This is fun. But I know beyond the doubt, my heart will see you there soon. And we'll meet, I know we'll meet beyond the shore. We'll kiss just like before. And happy we will be beyond the sea. And never again I'll go sailing. No more sailing. So long, farewell, my friends. No more sailing. Goodbye, farewell, my friends. No more sailing. So long, farewell, my friends. No more singing. Right, that's the end of the fun and the frivolity. What do we do now? We're going to go back to real work now, do we?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Back to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Thanks, Sherilyn, for organising that, and Claire and Beck and everybody and Wendy.
It was great fun.
Yeah.